How are we doing, Kansas Jayhawks fans? This is your host, Nick Rondeau, bringing at you some Jayhawks Daily content, and we got a couple of little updates, some little quotes from Bill Self coming up this week. We are looking a little bit ahead to the UNC game, but we'll do a full breakdown on tomorrow's episode, kind of seeing how UNC's panning out, how their first game looked, and how we match up. But more into today, we're kind of looking at what are some of the struggles, some of the concerns with this whole team. I kind of wanted to have that as the theme today, just because we can have roses all the time with Darryn Peterson highlights, and Trey White's hitting his threes, and Flory Badunga's killing it. But there are some concerns, there are some negatives, and there are some things that Kansas fans we can't look away from. If I said last year that we had multiple players on the court, including Dwan Harris and KJ Adams, that can't shoot, do we think we can still win a championship? We can't be blinded. We can't be blinded this year. But first up, we wanted to start with Darryn Peterson, as you can see. So is it going to limit him kind of going forward? So apparently this is just a very new injury, and I've spoke about this a little bit in the past, but yes, it seemed like it was cramping. It's been pretty much confirmed that it has been cramping, but it's something that has been really bothering him. We knew that is what limited him in the Louisville game. We knew that, that's partly the reason why we kept him out of Fort Hays. I think we realistically knew we didn't need to play him, rest him up for some bigger games. And then we saw it happening again in Green Bay. And, when he kind of reached for that chest, kind of leaving the field, or court, excuse me, we were concerned, but we knew, okay, it's not something major. It's just something that he might have to kind of work with the trainers for. And it seems like, yes, it is concerning. Bill even said it is concerning. And a lot of the reason is because he even said, this is a direct quote from him, we're not going to be nearly as effective with him playing 16 minutes in a game. It's something that we don't anticipate anything that lasts, but we're taking it seriously, and I feel like we're in better shape than we are weeks ago. So apparently this is something that's really been hurting him for a pretty long time. He's saying it's weird. It's never happened to him in high school, never in AAU circuits, no tournaments, nothing like this, and all of a sudden it's popping up. It's not quite on the Paolo Banchero at Duke losing 8 pounds a game type concern level, but even if it was that, Paolo was losing 8 pounds a game and still carrying that Duke team, putting up an unbelievable performance, and then going number one overall. So if Darryn Peterson's at least on that path, let's just hope we get a championship rather than what Duke got. I think they maybe got an ACC championship, but who knows? But yes, so this Darryn Peterson injury is a little bit of concern, but I really do wonder if it's going to limit him tomorrow. I think at the best case scenario, we're going to see Darryn Peterson play 30 minutes, and I really think that's the best case scenario. Only off the court for 10. That really gives us a good chance with 30 minutes of his offense. You can take a couple of minutes off. Maybe he's 25, a really heavy offensive load, but that's, I think, the best case scenario. I really was hoping this was going to be a guy to play 30 to 34 minutes a game, rarely coming out. Guard, it's a difficult thing to do, but you really, when you are the sole power, the 100%, biggest gear on this team, we need you a lot more than just 16 to 20 minutes a game. And it's unfortunate that this has kind of happened so early in the season, but let's just hope it doesn't persist. If it is, if it's going to affect us this early, week, let it affect the UNC game. That's okay. Let it go into next week maybe, but we got Duke coming up. We've got UConn, we've got NC State and Missouri, all within the next month and a half. We just can't have it carry over to Big 12 play, because that's when it gets really physical, really tough, and that's when the competition really is week in, week out, top notch. So, not many Towsons or Green Bays. But, hopefully we'll see. The training staff's working with him every single day. We're hoping this is something that he's dealing with for the first time. Let's hope it's something he doesn't have to deal with ever again after this. But who knows? We hope Darryn will be well. We are all hoping that your issues in the cramping department fade away quickly, because we do not like losing, and we don't like losing to Blue Bloods. And that's who we're playing with a lot of games coming up. Next, I kind of want to talk about, like I said, a couple of the concerns. And, the Darryn Peterson injury, that's a concern. Cole Rosario's slump is a concern. I've been very nice to him all week. You have to be. He puts in great effort. He puts in great hustle, and he does have a very high ceiling. And he's a young kid, so you got to give him his slack. But 1 for 8 from 3-point in 3 exhibition games, and I'm sorry, to me the most concerning stat. It was 0 for 1 inside the arc in the season opener. That's just disappointing. And I will say, I believe that's actually incorrect. I think it may be 1 for 2 with the one make as a putback off of a miss, which it was excellent effort. That's exactly what you like. He was always going for offensive rebounds. He's a decent defensive rebounder, but he was hustling around inside. The thing that was odd for him is he doesn't seem like much of a cutter, cut to the basket, finish at the basket guy. And I feel like that would be probably one of your best attributes playing with a guy like Darryn Peterson. Playing with, everyone that's doing that. Flory can clear out the paint pretty well, as we've seen, and even in game one. I think Cole Rosario's got to start taking advantage of, using that lane and being more active than just being a catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. It's just, one, we're seeing exactly it's not going well, so that puts the concern level relatively high. And then, two, you also got to say, at a point, why are you not contributing anything besides, like, anyone could just be a three-point specialist. And I don't mean, anyone can be as good at shooting threes, but that's the thing. He's not that good right now. When you're not playing, shooting that well, you're no specialist. You're just a waste of space. And I'm not saying he's a waste of space. He's been an excellent player for the team. It's just this shooting slump, it's very disappointing. And, Bill kind of talked about him. He said, I love him as a player. I think he tries really hard. He competes. He wants to get better. The ball's just not going in the hole like it was earlier. But he thinks he's just too amped up, too excited. He needs to slow down. I think he's speeding up his play. And, don't shoot at will. Don't shoot as well, but at will when you're, a little bit too amped up. So it makes sense. This kid literally committed a few months ago, went from I'm going to have my senior season of basketball to I'm starting 3 for the Kansas Jayhawks, going against UNC on a Friday night in Chapel Hill. Like, just imagine the emotions of this kid, 18 years old, maybe even be 17, but, kind of just super amped up. Bill Self chose me to start next to this future number 1 overall pick. This is amazing. This is an honor, and it really is. I mean, you could see even in the early on games, these chucks were online, but just over. I mean, well over. They were air balls over the rim. They were, rarely short. I will say Jaden Dawson's his threes have been kind of looking short, but I mean, they were just nowhere near. And then, yes, one did fall, and you kind of saw everyone on the bench go pump for him. The first one falls for the freshman. But we really need to fine-tune that, because if they're not going to be falling all season, one, red alarm bells, that's a big concern. But also, you got to find an additional way to really, make an impact. And if it's not at the three-point line, Cole, that's not the worst case in the world. Just cut to the basket. Don't cut after the shot's made or taken just to get a rebound. Keep doing that, but cut before. Keep setting screens, screen away. Never stop moving. This Bill Self offense, this system has worked, and it's helped plenty of similar type players like you. I mean, I literally I see kind of his release, and I see his kind of role, and I don't mean role as Ochai Agbaji. He was a top scorer for us, obviously, but that's kind of the role he had. He was always moving. He was always on a catch and shoot, but he was going to the basket. He was creating for himself. I haven't really seen Cole Rosario put the ball on the floor yet and see how he can kind of dribble. Can he drive? Can he penetrate to the paint? So slight concerns there, but again, it's early. He's young. It was a Green Bay game. I really do think he'll be fine. It's just the ceiling's super high for him, and right now his floor is still showing very good basketball player, and that's what we like at Kansas. It's very good basketball players. So next up, we kind of want to talk a little bit about our guy Elmarko Jackson, because Bill loves him, and like I said, I was going to highlight a couple of things that have not been going so well, and Elmarko's not exactly playing too hot. That first game, he didn't play excellent. In all 3 exhibition games, he is shooting about 50%, but he's kind of on his career numbers, and we know what his career numbers are. His freshman year was not good. He was about 3 points a game, and then about 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, He's just all in the lows, 3-1-1 type thing. We can't have that, and we really can't because we rely on you heavily. And I don't think it's going to continue that way. I really do believe in Elmarko the way that Bill believes in Marco. He said, I'm happy with him right now. I see him as the first guard off the bench, and if I see him playing the best, he stays in the game. So basically a sixth starter type of guy. And I really do. I subscribe to that belief. I was one of the people who my original shot before they called Cole Rosario as a starter was Elmarko Jackson will be starting for this team. It's just because he's in the system and he does have high potential. And it's weird, we're getting to a guy who's been in the system for 3 years, however, only playing in 2 of them, and we're saying potential still. It's tough because you hope that you see that McDonald's All-American. You hope you see that 5-star recruit, that, amazing potential of a scorer, and we haven't really. I've seen confidence. That's one thing you can't teach really, and he's acting very confident. He only took 1 shot in game 1, which I thought was a little surprising, but he didn't need to do anything else. It was a short rim, hit front rim, and it was around his spot, which I do love. I think he was fading away from the basket, so maybe drop into yours. He loves the dribble pull up within about 12 and a half feet. Keep doing that. I really appreciate Elmarko's kind of aggressiveness whenever Darryn Peterson's not on the court, whenever he's in a lineup with a bunch of non-shooters, and really just, if he gets stuck in a lineup with Bryson Taylor, Paul Mbia, or Flory Badunga, and Trey White's on the court, maybe Melvin's on the court with them, not the best shooters. So be aggressive, help out as best you can. And Elmarko's doing one thing really well, and that's playing defense. I mean, I really have been incredibly impressed. He's staying in front of his man 100% of the time. They are not getting clean looks around the rim, and they're barely getting near the paint, honestly. And, he is not allowing easy dribble drives. And, we've seen this for years now. Kansas were a heavy switch team, and in the years past, that has been difficult. Hunter Dickinson, heavy switching, it doesn't work. He loses his guy in the corner, boom, corner 3, Shout out corner 3. But it didn't work as well. And with, the lineup that we have, specifically guys like Elmarko, like kind of Cole, I really liked how we were switching all these things because it allows them to stay less on their rhythm. They don't know who's guarding them at a point. So sometimes you can find, he's forced me to my left the last 3 times. Now I'm going to fake it and go to the right. You got a different guy on you each time sometimes. So I do like it, Bill. This is a team where you can, pursue that kind of defensive strategy. And Elmarko is going to be key defensively no matter what this year. It's just, can we unlock that offense and that offensive potential? I say yes. Do I say it happens in the UNC game? Not particularly. But I'd love Elmarko to get 6. Get 6 in this UNC game, whether it's getting to the line for, a pair of free throws and just a couple of 2s, or, hey, maybe he hits 2 3s. Whatever it is, I don't mind. I don't think he'll be taking 3s anytime soon, so who knows. But, at least earn your reps, earn your minutes, and I think Elmarko will continue to do that. And he'll be a guy to turn it around. Mark my words. He'll be a guy that will have an impact on this Kansas Jayhawks season. And last up, just kind of the last concern that kind of looking at, and it's just because everyone's saying, and a lot of it's internal, obviously we're reporting on what these are speaking to, what these players are providing, and they're saying this team is super deep. They're saying, they're super talented. And I'm asking you guys, are they? Are they? And I'm saying this in the most, graceful manner I can. I really do think they are talented. I'm not taking away from that. But Jaden Dawson has come in and looked uninspired. He was 1 for 5 from 3. His last 3 was when, end of the game, couple minutes left. His stroke doesn't look there. Really doesn't look like a guy who shoots 40%. Granted, regression can occur. He can regress to the mean. He can figure out how to pull that 3-point mark up. But the problem is, will that happen sooner rather than later? I don't know. And beyond him, it goes a lot more beyond him. It kind of goes to the point of, Bryson Tiller, is he the only real impact on this bench? Is he the only, X factor that we're going to get? Is he going to be, still a top defensive player for us while also providing offense? Because it seems like each one of these guys coming off the bench is really kind of one-sided. And I don't know if that's just me, but I like Samis. He's only played a couple minutes. I don't have high expectations for Samis. Honestly, I would say he's exceeded my expectations just from that one game. He had a block early on. He kind of tried to run the offense. Good penetration. I think he got to the free throw line. By dribble driving. Credit to him. Elmarko, like I said, kind of struggling early on, but I think he'll turn around. Jaden Dawson, kind of struggling, with that 3-point ball, but can he turn around? And then Paul Mbia, I do like his potential. I think he's an excellent rebounder, but like I said, one-sided. We need you to do more than just rebound the ball, grab it. Like, that could be great. That could be a great role for you. We appreciate everything you're doing, but at the same time, the offense can't take that big of a dip when you come on the floor and, for Flory. And that's the thing is Bryson Tiller going to be really that only big impact player for us coming off the bench? Is he going to be the only one that helps offensively and defensively? Because we've seen a couple of great blocks from him. We've seen a couple of good, rebounding possessions. He likes to slash in, kind of come in from the 3-point line, but he'll stay out that 3-point line and pop a couple of threes. And I think that's going to be key for that UNC game. I'll highlight that. But, I really do think this bench, they are deep, but they've got to show it, and they got to show it pretty soon because these are the games where we're going to need it, and especially if our starters aren't playing top-notch basketball, which, Trey White, I think he's playing fine, but, he's got to step up. Melvin's got to step up, and I mean specifically in scoring. Cole Rosario's got to step up. It can't just be the DP Flory show every single game. I love that show. I'd binge it. I'd watch it all day long, but you need other people to step up and contribute. So let's hope the bench can do that. Can this depth really start showing and shining pretty soon? But who knows? I don't know. Maybe Bill knows. But I just wanted to bring up those slight concerns about this team and what's been going on recently. I appreciate everyone so much for listening and watching. Thank you so much for continuing to tune in. Like, comment, subscribe. Anything you guys want me to kind of preview for the game tomorrow, or anything that you might have some thoughts about this channel or how we're going to do against UNC. Shout it down in the chat below. So I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, and rock chalk. Go Jayhawks.